Good morning. It's Beards on the Street.
Morning, y'all.
Morning. Welcome. We've got a special guest here today that was here 2 weeks ago. And because of technical difficulties, we were only able to see a quarter of your presentation, or actually hardly any of it.
And you know what? What people heard, I don't know if they listened because they need to hear this guy's message.
That's why we had him back. This guy's got a seriously powerful message.
Back.
So, welcome back, Mr. Daniel, and we're going to jump right into it, man. We want to hear about all this really cool stuff that you got.
Do you want to know why he's in such a hurry?
Why?
And why don't you have a whiskey already?
I know.
It's the blues. It's a blues festival to this weekend.
I'd say, what's in that coffee cup, you know?
That's just coffee.
Bailey's.
That I spilled all down the front of me because I hit a bump.
Yeah, tonight's a big night. Or weekend, huh? You're excited.
I am, because Tabby Benoit's playing tonight.
Tab Benoit. I've heard this name so many times. I know.
This guy's so good.
I've heard he's so good.
So good. Like I've seen Tab play probably, I'm not even exaggerating, 30 or 40 times.
Wow.
Yeah. He's just amazing. He's just a
I've
country boy from Houma, Louisiana.
I've never even been to 30 or 40 concerts in total.
Whatever.
I haven't.
You've been to almost that many with me.
You've taken 15 probably.
Yeah.
But that's damn near the sum total of my whole musical experience.
Yeah. So a little recap, and we'll just throw this out to everybody. It is the Blues Festival. Starts today. Gates open at 4:30 at the Gallivan Center. We had Sid on our show last week, kind of promoting it, but man, I'd take Tab Benoit over Janet Jackson any damn day of the week.
Yeah, you're sending me off to Janet tonight.
Just saying. Oh, you might catch a little bit more nip on the other show than you will on this show.
Think we'll have a costume mishap?
I don't know.
Is Justin Timberlake,
You've already seen it, right? I just noticed, dude, you don't have a mic.
Oh, yeah, that might be helpful.
Sorry for all the loud noise. We're just setting that mic right over there.
Here we are.
There you are. I was like, man,
yeah.
I'm glad you started talking, because I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't have a mic.
I don't know. Be careful. Once I get talking, sometimes I don't shut up. So,
Right.
Hey,
At least you have something good to say.
No kidding.
We just start talking about any random thing. And
right. Like the Blues Festival. So the good news is the festival's tonight and tomorrow.
About 3 o'clock, we're going to be over at a pool getting pre-gamed, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not gaming, but
Over to Chadley's?
I'll be getting sun.
I'll be pre-gaming.
Yeah, you will.
For sure.
Yep.
All righty. So any other announcements before we hop in?
Just everybody who came out last night to our mixer. It was a lot of fun. It was a success. We went to Second Summit Hard Cider.
Yep.
It's got outdoor pickleball, fantastic venue.
Just a great place.
They had a local band out there playing. I mean, it was a cool vibe. It always is.
What's the lady that was helping us that owns it? Is it Vicky or?
I think so.
I think so. Anyways, she was amazing.
Yeah, she always.
They just did well. They had a not a bingo thing, but a trivia. And I noticed a ton of our people were in there participating and loving it.
They had a blast.
So another successful mixer for those of you that weren't able to make it. Sorry, but every single month, second Thursday, every single month. And guys, these are all about you meeting new people and getting to know others out there that are just as cool as you are.
That's right.
And we surround ourselves with some really cool people.
Well, and a good group of guys that I know, I think there'll be 8 or 10 of us. We're going to go out and do a hike this next week, an evening hike. So I don't know if anybody's interested.
Yeah, but we'll post it out.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we're doing it. We do a hike as a team. So this is going to be an evening one-off that we're going to pull, but it'll be fun.
Is there a hike tomorrow? Did it get scheduled or not?
I don't think it got scheduled.
So what we're doing, guys, is normally we've done these hikes on Thursdays, but we know that everybody have real lives and they've got to work. So we're going to move them to Saturdays, Saturday mornings, so we can actually make it to where more people can show up and participate.
The whole idea around it is just more opportunity to be with our friends.
Yep.
So, yeah. So if anybody's interested in that, we'll plan on that next Saturday. Will be our first one.
Yep.
If anybody has a suggestion of what would be a good hike, I know some of the hikes we've done probably still have snow, but that'll be gone here right away.
Yep. I don't think
and they're not none of what we do. By the way, none of what we do. We make an effort to do a hike that is kid friendly, and if you're and then also not too challenging physically. So we would just welcome if you have any interest in getting out and hiking at all, getting access to these amazing mountains that we have. Come join us. It's fun. We spend the time together, so you're not going to be off by yourself.
No,
we have crowds that range in. I mean,
young kids.
Billy Goat here, like he tears up the mountain.
Yeah, but if I get a hike, I want to get the most benefit
I'm back
from
in the back huffing. So we got all ranges of.
You got dooty doo over here. Dooty doo.
You wearing a weight vest on one of these?
We're
just
gonna
like
put
make
a
it extra
weight vest
hard
on him because
I'm wearing my weight vest right here.
But don't be intimidated by it. Come out and hang out with us. It'll be a fun way to get out and go actually experience the mountains we're in. It's only been a couple years I've been out doing it, and I love it. So get out with us.
It is good. One other quick announcement: if you're watching this live on Facebook, comment, or even YouTube, comment, throw us how to do or ask a question or whatever. I'm monitoring it as we're going along, and would love to hear from you guys, especially on the message that Dan's going to give us. So without further ado,
let's jump into that. So I met Dan. He came into the office here, just kind of a recap, but he taught a continuing education class around home ownership, the impact of rent, what rent inflation's doing, why people should look at owning versus renting, and kind of that conversation. And why that's important is because right now I had a guy in the steam room this morning. His home's listed. It's a $2.5 million house on the top of Suncrest, and he's like, Aaron, I saw this report, and he's like, and it's because he's having a hard time selling at that price. It was an early 2000s home, a lot of that the 2000 home style and decor, and
hasn't been updated.
Little bits, but it still had the original kind of travertine and things like that. And you know what? I mean, it's just the square footage is there, the area is right, price. He has a price, but he's not going to get that price. At $2 million, that buyer is so discerning.
Yeah,
they can have everything they want and up to date and new. And anyway, so his point to me was I saw a report that it's 87% of all people think this is a bad time to buy a house, and I'm like, if that's what you're.
I wonder who wrote that report.
Well, probably the New York Times.
Probably
they put that kind of stuff
CNN.
out there.
But it also it's confirmation bias. He's having a hard time getting his price he wants, and unfortunately, he's going to have to push a little bit of value to offset what somebody's going to need to do to that house to bring it to market standard.
Right.
So, anyways, I just thought it was interesting, just his attitude that he had. But now's a great time, and we have someone here to talk about that. So.
Yeah.
Take over, kid.
So, where I'm coming from, I've been a CPA since 2015.
Who are you? Where are you at?
I'm Dan Mullen. No, the CPA Mortgage Guy is my brand.
Okay.
And I've been a CPA since 2015, and I noticed the difference between my clients, those who were struggling and those who were comfortable and even wealthy, was like 95% of the time was real estate. And I'm not even talking about investing. Yes, my wealthier clients understand that investing in real estate is super powerful for both their wealth and their taxes. I mean, this isn't the point of this course, this podcast. I do that. I did like 3 of those this week. So
he does a lot of courses.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing some courses together to actually evaluate the stuff that he's talking about.
Yeah, but I kept noticing that difference, and I'm like, well, what is it? And it was almost always home ownership, right? And not, like I said, not just investing, but just the impact of owning your own home. I just came to realize that it should be central and early to your financial planning. Yeah, you want to stack your 401k, you want to build up your savings, but man, home ownership, and I've got graphs and all the numbers to show you why. Sometimes most of the time, in fact, it's going to outpace your investment accounts. It's standard brokerage investment accounts, just home ownership, plus all the awesome benefits you get from owning a home. You get to finally paint live, laugh, love on your bathroom wall.
Right.
And you don't have to be beholden to a landlord and their rent hikes and all that kind of stuff. Just so powerful for your finances. So
Building value.
Yeah, and so knowing that and doing all that analysis, I started doing numbers. I mean, I crunch numbers for a living, right? And
tell them which graphs you want them to go to as you.
Graphs. Yeah, well, we'll get there in a minute. Let me just
Okay.
finish the story, how I got here. And so in order to enhance my understanding of my clients, I specialize in real estate taxation anyway, and that's a whole other podcast perhaps. But I got a mortgage license because I wanted to understand the financing piece of that. And the more I did, the more I was like, oh my gosh, people just need to know how powerful just home ownership is, even in today's crazy market. Interest rates are high, prices are high. Okay, well, show me your math on why you think renting long term is a better idea. I'll show you mine. Mm-hmm. And not to say I'm right, you're wrong. I want people to be educated and have good understanding of why they're making the decisions they're making. So.
Okay.
Okay. What graph you want me to start with, dude? Sorry, I didn't put it up on the screen. So
all good. Let's do bottom left. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Bam. Okay, it's up.
Bam. Okay. So yeah, I got to see it a little bit better. But anyway, the graph there. I mean, that is, I think, a mistake that a lot of people in our industry in real estate make is, oh yeah, you got to build equity. Why would I buy a home in today's market? You got to build equity. Build equity. When that's kind of a hard concept for people to grasp unless they're seeing the actual numbers. How much equity? And I've heard people say in the industry a lot, well, if you're renting, you're paying 100% interest,
right.
Or if you are, homeowners are 43 times wealthier than renters. And I don't know. I think if I tell that to a renter, that might seem kind of condescending, like, why are you doing this stupid move? When that's not really the case at all. I mean, I don't think that helps. If you help put somebody's actual financial scenario in there and they can see what their projection is, then that's when the light clicks on. And so this is what is it? This is a $475,000 house, which is it's around a starter home in some of the parts here in Salt Lake.
That is a starter home.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, if you go up north in Ogden,
that's a townhome in most places as well,
yeah.
or entry townhome actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. For sure, like medium and high cost of living, that's what we're faced with,
yeah.
right? Up north in Ogden, we might see 350, 375
right.
for starter home,
right.
but not location.
Salt Lake County specific.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this is the cash cost. This is what I like to lead with first, because equity is such an ethereal concept to most average renters and even homeowners a little bit. Without numbers to it, they don't, okay, well, I'm living month to month to month. Tell me about that. How do we solve this problem? That is a problem. Right now, to rent this place is going to be what, $770 less to rent on my monthly cash flow.
And that's been the big argument, and that's been kind of what you run into is it's cheaper to rent.
Yeah.
But is it?
I mean, short term, kind of, in a way. It depends on how you look at it. If you're just talking about just your bank account, which people, I mean, that's really important.
That's where some people are at.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
If you can't qualify, yeah, I get it. But that cash flow month to month, how much cash is coming out of your pocket? Yeah, you're going to write a smaller check to rent a house today rather than own that same house, typically. Right, and so that's where people are focused. We're in kind of a shaky economy still, and so understanding that month-to-month concept. But if you project it out, 5, 10, 20, 30, 35 years in this case, I mean the differences are very stark, right? So yeah, it's going to take a few years of sacrifice. Your mortgage payment's going to be higher. There's ways to mitigate that with things like a 2-1 buy down. There's some cool financial acrobatics you can do.
How come it shows rents going up? What's that about?
Rents go up. Rents go up, and your mortgage does. I mean, your mortgage does a little bit, but only by like the property tax.
I think the average renter looks at rent and they're like, rent is this, but
they raised it on me when I was renting.
Yeah, it raises. Yeah. That's part of the plan. Is it's kind of on a steady. What's the numbers?
The average inflation. I kind of backed into this when I did the studies on this. But the average inflation long term over the past, however long we've been keeping track, 60 or 70 years, has been about 3.6, 3.7%. And so since rent is the biggest piece of that by far, it's like 44, 45% of the CPI, which is the Fed's term for inflation, that matters a lot. And so rent is the biggest piece of that by far. I also looked historically, rent does go up on average nationwide. I mean, you're going to have pockets with rent control or lower, rent increases, but average on nationwide, they're going up 3.5% year over year.
The last two, though, I know locally, I saw was 10 and 14% in South Jordan.
Yeah, double digits.
I think I saw that too.
Wow.
Double digits.
So this is ultra conservative, and when you see or feel a 200,
all of his numbers are ultra conservative,
right. Which that's what I really like about what you've shown us so far.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is blow smoke, and I think it's good for all of us. This is on a conservative scale, and all of my graphs here, I'm trying to stack the deck against home ownership and in favor of renting, and it still gets blown away. Renting this. 3.5% over long periods, 35 years, because when you talk about retirement and long-term financial plans, it should be 35 years plus. It doesn't stop at 35 years. Also depends on how old you are, of course, but you can see. I
guess the red line shows if you plan on renting the rest of your life, this is what you'll be looking forward to.
And my aunt has done exactly that.
Okay.
She's rented she thought she was too cool from home ownership. She was the fun aunt, the one who had wave runners in 1992, which, holy cow. But she didn't want to be tied down. And so she chose to rent her whole life because she thought home ownership wasn't cool. I mean, there's a lot of ammo against the argument that home ownership ties you down. It doesn't necessarily. But she is, if she lived in the same house my parents lived in, who they bought a house 35 years ago, they're paying like $500 a month to rent.
And have how much
to
in
buy,
equity?
to own, sorry?
And how much in equity do they have?
Oh, geez, $600K, something like that. It's not a palace, but it's a nice house.
Hey. Right. So what next slide do you want me to throw up there?
Well, let's talk about the equity. That next, that one, that guy.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so after we understand again, we have to get our renters out of the mind of month to month, or solve the month to month problem, right? And you saw over time, it gets way cheaper to own a home, right? But then once we address that, then we talk about equity, because there's two parts of home ownership in growing wealth. It's the differences is cash between renting and owning, and now equity. Right, and so once you have that, you might be negative cash flow for a minute, but you've also built up $150K of equity.
Let's bounce back and show this one time, because it was just a couple years in. You are now below by fixing your cost of ownership.
Yeah.
Right. You can see it's just a couple years in that it becomes cheaper to own that property.
Yeah.
And now you're ahead of the game, and you're back over to this conversation evaluating your equity position.
Yeah, and just in your checking account, that's what that showed. And what's funny, I'll just wait 5 years for the crossover. That's not a thing. You have to start, unless you have a windfall, like an inheritance or something like you win a sweepstake. Are sweepstakes a thing anymore?
Yeah. The lottery.
You have a windfall. Everybody starts there at the beginning of that graph. And
maybe it's just marrying somebody with money.
My old school counselor,
Right.
My old school counselor in high school would tell the people that were lower on the IQ scale to marry for land and money. So, But anyway, no, the equity. So even though you might be negative cash flow for a minute, you might be sitting on $150,000 of equity. You're building that wealth behind you. Right, and then
it's like you said, your parents, their payment is almost nothing, and they've got $600,000 in equity sitting there.
Bingo.
Where your aunt she's still paying higher and higher and higher every year, and has zero to show for it.
She could not afford to rent the house my parents are living in. She has to be. She's a lot lower on that scale. She pays like $1,500 a month for rent, and that's a stretch for her. That's hard. And her son is subsidizing her cost of living. Like home ownership would have solved her problem.
Hey, but she had fun.
She wasn't tied down. She wasn't tied down.
I guess, yeah. But I love her to death. If you're hearing this, my aunt, no qualms.
No,
you understand.
it is what
it's not
it is.
morally
No,
wrong.
it's reality.
But we run into that mindset
all the time.
Like
I rented for years.
A lot of people are being taught right now to have a worry-free life and the freedom and ability to just up and go and do this stuff, but they're not planning.
There's a cost.
Yeah, they're not planning. They're not building.
Yeah, and you can do that and build home equity. Just buy the house and rent it out. I mean, okay, I don't like the word just sometimes because it seems like everything is easy, but it is possible to maintain that flexibility and still own that appreciating asset that can collect cash flow and rental. You guys understand.
Yes.
It may be hard in the beginning, but it's going to get easier and easier over
Exactly.
time.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay, what next one, bud?
Okay, well, let's do the horn there. Yep, that one.
Bam.
So that is combining the wealth difference between renting and owning, the equity and the cash flow differences there. And yeah, it's going to cost you something to own that house, to rent that house, whatever it is, to have a roof over your head. It's going to cost you something. And all of us have to make that choice. It's not like, hey, I'm going to sit on the sidelines by renting. No, you're still in the game. You're just losing it. I mean, the bottom line there.
That blue trench is your money, right? That's your building asset.
That's the difference. Yeah, that's your wealth. And what I mean by wealth, maybe I should have started with the other slide. Let's actually go back to the bars with the red and the blue. Nope, sorry, go where your money goes. Here we go.
Bam.
Cool. So this is a comparison, a wealth comparison between renting and owning. On your very first month, which it's renting there too. Let's do that one first. So renting, again, we're renting a $475,000 house, roughly. It's going to cost you around $2,900 in the metro part of Salt Lake City. Yep. Your wealth difference there is just a rent payment, right? You're not getting appreciation. You're not paying down your principal. It's just the rent payment. That decreases your wealth. It's buying a service, and that service is valuable, which is why renting exists.
Housing.
Yeah, and a really quick side note here, it's not morally wrong to rent, and there's certainly better times to rent than not. If you're in a temporary situation like, I don't know, you're an oil worker and you're out for like 6 months at a time, you don't necessarily need to buy a house there unless you want to invest. Or if like you're a travel nurse and when you're out there for just a few months or less than, I don't know, maybe around 2 years, then, it's not a good idea to buy a house.
But it's easy also to get content, which I'm talking from experience.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? It starts out as, well, I'm not really sure where I want to live. I'm not really sure this. I'm not really sure that. And then 10 years later, you're still in the same exact place.
Yeah. But I'm talking about if you are geographically and financially stable, then buy a house.
Amen.
Buy a house. So that's renting. That decreases your wealth by exactly that amount, $2,913. Now let's talk about let's go to the other one here. The very first mortgage payment. Let's say you make the decision either renting or owning. This is your first month. I already showed you renting. This is owning, which is your first mortgage payment, which is your worst mortgage payment. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Highest interest.
Highest amount of interest you're ever going to pay.
Right.
You'll ever pay, assuming you don't refinance, right? So you can go line by line. I'm not going to talk about every single one of those. You probably get it. Taxes and insurance, interest, those decrease your wealth. The principal doesn't decrease your wealth. And why I'm talking about wealth versus cash, well, wealth, there's home equity as part of your wealth, right?
Right.
As well as cash. So your payment, you have to qualify for that. I get it. It's higher than your rent payment by, a few $100. I get it. More than a few hundred in some cases. But, I mean, look at the actual wealth.
But it only sucks on that first payment.
No, well, nobody loves paying a mortgage, right?
Well, if you understand the full picture, you can understand what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got more slides in the full presentation sometime if we care, but this kind of just proves the point. It gets better and better after this. So you get the appreciation as a homeowner, so which means the actual cost to your wealth is a $1,372 versus $2,913. Like in the very first month, your ownership advantage is over $1,500 in this scenario.
Out of the gate.
Yeah, it's hard to see because, again, we're so focused on that bank account. But, man, if we stretch that out, include appreciation and the whole wealth picture, it's so much more
people
powerful.
Might hear this as another way of saying it, or kind of a buzzword, but forced savings.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yep, forced savings. You're a lot more motivated to stay and keep your house than be kicked out of it than to spend or to save discretionary income that you have. Like, I got $500 extra. Should I save it or should I go blow it on something fun or whatever? It's easier to do when that's a mortgage payment because if you don't pay that, like, there's bigger consequences.
It's a financial strategy for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and let's go back to the horn there. Yeah. So that's essentially those previous graphs combined. The cash and the wealth, the whole appreciation, that's spread out year after year after year, and just total wealth difference. It's never the only thing I don't have in there is sales costs because we don't know when you're going to buy or sell a home because that's not cheap either. That's a very complicated transaction. It's a great idea to get help from agents and everything to coordinate that, and that's not free, right? And it shouldn't be. But assuming I take those out of the equation because I don't know when that happens, but there's never a better wealth scenario when you're renting versus
Actually,
owning.
this is a great point. Is if you buy a townhome and you don't ever sell it.
Yeah. Well, we
Right?
can talk about investing in another one.
I mean, but that could be something that if you chose to hold on to that property you just purchased and keep it indefinitely, this is where
Tax benefits.
This is where it goes.
Equity build, all of it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
know, it went off again.
It's all good.
I'm just leaving it off.
Oh, good. But you see, it's the biggest gains too. It's like, have you ever had the problem of, have you ever heard the scenario of, I'll give you $1 million now, or I'll give you a penny today and double it every next day for 30 days.
Right.
And
No, and it's take the penny.
yeah, take the penny. And at first, the differences are so negligible. Oh, an extra cent, an extra 4 cents, an extra 8 cents. But really, the power is those last times on there. Look at the end of that graph. Let me go here. So at the end of that graph, you see those wealth differences year after year just are so huge.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the power.
We think about, well, I'm going to wait for market conditions to get better, whatever. We don't know they're going to get better, by
Right.
the way. But I'm going to wait. You're not sacrificing.
Wait, you don't have a crystal ball that's right on the money?
I do as a gimmick, but it's not right on the money. It's just a toy I bought for.
Or an 8 ball that you shake and it gives you the answer?
When should I buy? Should I buy a house? But we're sacrificing. Yeah, it looks like we're sacrificing the beginning of that, but really towards the end, the longer you wait, the bigger the tail end of that thing. You're worried about. Well, that's nearly $200,000. Okay, but how much is a dollar worth today versus in 35 years? Well, right there, it's about $56,000, which is real money today.
Yeah.
It's higher than the average median income.
So explain that. So the first year opportunity of buying now, even being in a negative, based on the case, the 475 current market rate, it was actually a very conservative appreciation of the property. It was very conservative when it came to the inflation of rent comparison. And it's how much is the benefit of owning today versus waiting?
Huge, like $1,500, like
A month, right?
Yeah.
And so $56,000 a year as a swing of opportunity that you're missing by waiting next year or.
Well, that's 35 years from now.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, yeah, 1,500 times 12. I'm a math guy, but I'm not a quick computer math guy. I build
It's a
formulas
good
for
chunk
that.
of change.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's a lot.
Yeah, but when it compounds at the end of all of it, and you've owned that asset over time, it really gets powerful.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, and people are worried about market forces today. Let me do the red and the yellow one.
Here?
Yep, that one.
Bam.
So let's talk about why today isn't 2008.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure you've discussed that before.
Yes.
But I mean, the biggest problem, well, it's just housing prices they're based on supply and demand, just like the market prices for anything, right? Maybe a little more price or payment related, but still prices go up when demand goes up, right? And supply is low. So let's talk about supply. What's inventory like today?
It's low.
It's low.
Low, certainly lower than it was in 2008, right?
All right.
Way.
Yeah.
By multiples, I think it's like a quarter.
Incredible built up demand. Just people, hanging, waiting for rates to come down. Sellers they're stuck in property that they refuse to give up that rate the golden handcuffs of that low rate.
Yeah, sure, right? But but the demand. I have demographics on this slide here too. Like that is first time home buyers demand right now is bigger than it's ever been. People want to buy those houses, but it's so pent up because they're waiting for something to happen to the market. Mm-hmm. My question when somebody says, well, I'm waiting for interest rates to go down, I ask them,
Good luck.
yeah, good luck, number one. They've been saying that for a couple of years now. The first thing I ask them are you waiting for rates to go down or are you waiting for your payment to get easier? And it's always that.
Well, let's face it. I mean, almost every single person, it's all about what the payment is.
It is, yeah, like by far.
Because that's immediate, easy to see. I can afford this.
Yep. It's payment, right? And if we're saying, okay, when rates go down, what happens? Because we're going to be in a low inventory environment for at least the next 5 years, I think. I mean, barring some huge economic crash where people are mailing their keys in, I don't think that's going to happen because there's so much equity out there.
Right.
But barring that, with when interest rates drop, what happens to the price?
Well, demand rises, and so prices go up.
Yeah, right? They go up. And so the payment isn't getting easier
Right.
by waiting.
No.
It's going to probably going to keep increasing slowly, like it has for the past 100 years,
Right.
or plus.
Right.
So people are waiting for the payment to get easier and saying, well, I'm going to blame it on interest rates. if we show them the math, one thing I did one time for a client recently was, okay, I'm waiting for a payment for a $400,000 house to be $1,500. I'm like, okay, well, let's back into that. What would the interest rate have to be in order for that to be true? It ended up being 2%. Do you really think 2% is going to come back anytime in the next decade or two? Like, oh, well, I don't know. That changes my story.
That's called an unrealistic buyer.
Yeah. There's a few of those out there. So,
the whole motto of this whole entire thing is take the step now. Stop waiting. Stop thinking that you have a crystal ball and that something magical is going to happen. They're going to sprinkle pixie dust on the interest rate yo-yo and everything's going to get perfect. Stop waiting.
Or the bubble's going to burst and we're going to see like a 30% reduction in price or something. But that isn't going to happen either.
It's not going to happen.
Good luck.
I'm a huge proponent of take the step, move forward. Whoops.
We got excited there.
They can't see us because we got this.
Well,
nothing happened over here. Don't worry about it.
So I know it's hard today. It's harder today than it has been, 3 or 4 years ago. But unless you have a time machine, like pull that trigger. And I know what that sounds like from people who sell you things and make money saying this and having people make those transactions. Mm-hmm. But please use the logic. I mean, please sit down with me. Like I'll run any scenario you want in my spreadsheet, and we can look at exactly what that looks like
in real life.
Yeah. And so if you can prove me wrong from the math logical standpoint, then please do. I want to know. I'm always learning, but I want to show you like what are those numbers going to look like for you today, and what are they going to look like 30 years from now. One thing too is if you are waiting for the payment to get easier, there's only one way for that to happen, is if you already own the property and rates go down. If you wait for rates to go down first, your prices are going to go up. So buying today will allow you to lock in that price, and then when interest rates go down, thank heavens for America, we have the 30-year fixed rate. You can refinance and take advantage of those lower rates. But that's the only way you can do it.
It's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, if you look at it that way. It's not truly that way. It's just
damned if you don't.
Economics.
I've heard that all the time where it's like date your rate, and people get so frustrated with hearing that. But this actually makes sense the way you're kind of you're breaking down and showing it that there's a reason for that, because prices are continuing to go up. Yeah. This is the best time to be able to fix that opportunity for a lower payment if there ever will be one.
And that's why we wanted to bring you back on, because your message is crystal clear. Your message is powerful because, like you said, dude, numbers don't lie.
Yeah. They can, depending on who's putting them in there. But please, like you've said, and I've been conservative on all of these.
I appreciated that, because being able to see today's rate, being able to see today's prices, being able to project where that's going, be able to see current rent rates. Anyways. If anybody wants to be able to sit down and understand their situation, they need to call you.
Yeah, they do, and then they can get the realistic numbers based on what their circumstances and what's going on in their life.
I think one of the biggest fears that you run into is FOMO, fear of missing out, if I know there's somebody listening right now that there's some FOMO going on, and real confusion and curiosity, call him. Sit down with him.
Just guys, take the step. You got nothing to lose. It's knowledge. Whether you do anything or don't do anything, it's freaking knowledge. You go to your doctor once a year to make sure you don't have something nasty going on. You sit down with your tax guy every single year to do your taxes. Why wouldn't you sit down with somebody like Daniel or with Daniel and just straight up get the answers to the questions that you deserve to know?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I do take a consulting approach, right? Of course, we make money when transactions happen. But I shifted my career in order to make that happen, because I felt so passionately that, hey, this is going to help somebody so much, help a lot of people.
You believe in your message. It's the right message. So heaven forbid you get paid for doing a good job for something.
Well, here's the bottom line. We have our VIP 50, our whole system and program, and to me, I think it's a major value-added step, is we offer to all of our clients an annual review or a review on their current home, where it sits in the market today. They deserve to know that.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
That's like, literally, it's like
Turn your head.
Having a bank, it's like having a bank account that you never check the balance on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what other analogy to throw out there, but I mean, literally, it's like if you had a bank account and you never knew what your balance was in that bank account.
Yep.
That's just insane.
Yep.
I mean, if you think about everything in your life, it's always cheaper to do preventative measures than it is to catch up.
Yes.
Right? Buying a house, health, right? Exercising and eating right, that's always better than paying for a heart attack, heaven forbid, right? So,
tell the train you did this last time. Tell us the train analogy. It's a picture, a mind picture. It's how I function. So you said this and it made sense to me.
Yeah, I like this, and I totally stole it from another realtor.
That's okay.
So but she's like,
okay.
use it. She said, okay, imagine you're chasing a train, and your goal on foot, you're chasing a train, you're running after it, and
the equity train.
We'll get there.
Wealth train. Okay, sorry.
The A train. We're going back to jazz.
Aaron.
My bad.
So imagine you're chasing a train on foot, and your goal is to get to the first class dining car, right? It's near the front of the train. Maybe it's the fourth or fifth car.
I'm not getting on unless I can get on the front train.
Yeah. If that's not your goal, maybe, don't get on. Maybe, I don't know. But you have a choice as to whether.
Keep running.
Damn it. Keep running. Yeah.
Keep running.
So you have a choice of running after the train and running all the way to that car, just passing all those cars on foot, or getting on the caboose and just walking.
That's the hard way, the first way. That's the hard way.
Yeah.
And trust me, people, nobody knows better than me. I've done a lot of shit in my life, but I did it the hard way. It's
learn from our mistakes.
Learn.
Yeah. So where we're going with that, obviously, if you're waiting for to buy your dream house, and that's the only house you're ever going to buy, but it's in Park City and it's a $2 million house.
Never happen.
Yeah, right? Because that train is speeding up, number one. Right? So get on the caboose, get in your starter home. Don't buy it in a slum where you don't feel safe necessarily, right? But get on that
5-year plan and do it and get out and go to the next one.
Oh yeah, it depends on your tolerance. I don't know, but get on that caboose, that starter home, and then all you got to do is walk to that front car because that equity engine beneath you is churning, and all you got it's not as much effort. Just pay your mortgage, and your house appreciates. You got a fat down payment for your dream house.
Exactly. And I'm just picturing right now, Aaron. Get on the train, dude. You're going to lose weight. I know that's why you're doing this. You just keep running and running and running because you're trying to lose weight. Get on the damn train.
But it is gaining speed. That front car is getting bigger, faster, and further away. And can those people renting, can they afford $1,500 a month? I mean, are they saving that? Are they actually doing that? No, they're living the lifestyle around the rent payment, and then they have the Guys, it's forced savings.
It's financial discipline.
That's what it is. Financial discipline.
Yeah. And buying a house is kind of the easy button on that, as weird as that sounds.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's the soundest way. Like you said, it's forced savings. I mean, we all know it's hard to save, especially, every month it seems like you're just getting beat down and something else comes up and something else comes up. But you
got a bill, you're going to make it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, Dan, thank you for coming back in and explaining this. We thought it was such a powerful message that we wanted to just not ignore it and get it out there.
My pleasure.
Plus, you're a cool dude, man, and we want to help you out, and hopefully some of our listeners will take this to heart. And if you are renting, or if you're looking for a second property as an investment property, come and talk to us. Come and talk to Dan, and then Aaron and I can also help you go out and find the right place based on your conversation with Dan.
If you have kids that are in their early 20s and it's like, how are they ever going to, I've had these conversations, how are they ever going to do this?
Right.
Yeah. There are some ideas around this.
One step at a time.
Guys, have the consultation, learn what's necessary with it, and then there are some ideas how to get it done and get things rolling.
Oh yeah, how to find that down payment. There's programs. There's also cool hacks you can use with your investment accounts that are tax advantaged. I mean, all that good stuff. So
sweet.
Yep.
All righty, people. Well, thank you so much. And hey, little surprise. We've got another episode coming up in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Right. Yeah.
So it's going to be a good one. Dan, again, thank you so much,
man.
My pleasure.
Have a fantastic weekend, and everybody will see you out at the Blues Festival.